see of what lives in this water, the less and less I want to ever touch it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's scary.
That alligator
what's the
coming out
scary
of
thing
nowhere.
eating? Oh, it's eating another scary thing.
Yeah, and then the piranha on top of all of it.
Yeah, just everything wants to kill you out here.
Let's leave everything and go traveling. See what tomorrow brings. It's only a choice away. Let's back up and leave today. Let's see what tomorrow brings.
Okay, well, last time we had made it into Brazil. Tim and I were checked into the country, but Goose had to wait until the customs office opened on Monday morning, so he could become official too. So we waited out the weekend, then bright and early on Monday morning, we went to work. And while waiting for the aduana office to open, we went in search of propane. We hadn't filled up since Peru. And that is where we met Flavio. While we waited for our tank to be filled, he gave us a tour of his truck.
It's bigger than the starter motor on that truck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so he says it's a Hilux rear axle. It's a 1966. He got it for $2,000 US, and the bed was $1,000, and he uses it. And he said he can carry 70 propane tanks in the back of it, stacked really high.
O radiador dela é desse tamanho, né?
Sim, sim.
É, injetora, é injetor.
Sí, sí, injector.
É.
Sí. Grande. Sí. Muy bien. So it's a 66 Bandeirante. Yeah, pretty amazing. Not the original engine. It's got a Hilux rear axle, but I mean, it's like, you know, typical sort of old Land Cruiser. It's rusting away metal-wise, but engine and everything else seems to be doing good, although I don't know when he put that engine in. I think 20 or something years ago, he said. It's interesting to see the differences because this was made here in Brazil, so it's not really an FJ45 or a BJ45 or anything. It's different. But it's also similar too. Yeah.
Tem muito parente nos Estados Unidos. Eu, parente.
Sim?
É.
Onde?
Nova York
Sim.
e York.
Yeah.
Tem uns parentes lá também. Bastante gente. Aí tem Miami.
Sim.
Bastante gente.
Sí. Muy bien. Miami es calor y húmedo.
Obrigado, Flavio. Next up, the aduana.
Good afternoon, because it's not morning anymore.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We got our Goose is now legal in the country, so this morning that all worked out. And
we got propane as well.
we did get propane as well, and now we're on the road heading towards the Transpantaneira. Is that how you say it?
Yep. Yeah, now we just need to get to the beginning of the Transpantaneira, and then the road should probably get more slow. If it doesn't rain, I'm not expecting the road to be too tough. If a local's truck can make it, Goose is so overbuilt that it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
If it rains, however, I think it flip-flops then, and basically no one travels it, and good luck, it turns into a winch fest. But either way, it's fine. We'll deal with it.
We got muck boots.
We got muck boots. It'll just be like Guatemala.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Alright, last gasoline on our way into the jungle. And guess what I got, because it's hot and sweaty, ice cream. Yum.
It's so round.
Tin. Yeah.
With some ice cream in our stomachs, we headed for the entrance to the Transpantaneira, a road we had heard a lot about. So many horror stories of how gnarly this road was, so we weren't exactly sure what lay in store for us, but we hoped lots of cool animals.
There it is. Made it to the entry. We've already seen some capybara and some pretty birds, but I think we're in for a lot more animals. Pretty excited. When you're driving on dirt roads all the time, we're always chasing down noises, constantly checking to make sure like none of the suspension components are loose. I know we hear something, but we can't quite figure out what it is. So we're gonna do a quick look around and make sure there's nothing obvious that's super loose. And then we'll probably check more thoroughly tonight if we don't find anything. But I'm gonna just hear a little rattle that sounds different than anything we've heard. So constantly chasing those little things. Want me to move it?
No.
Did you find it?
I hope it's not the pinion nut, but there's a little play kunk, so it could be that. The pinion seal we know is dead because it's putting oil from the rear differential up and out where that pinion seal would be, where the drive shaft connects. So we know that's going, but I don't know, we'll just check the level tonight, add a little fluid if we need to. My bigger worry is that the pinion nut is loose, and if that's loose, you know, the ring and pinion could be not seated properly. Yeah, don't know.
After hitting dirt, we drove for a few hours and made it a little over halfway to Porto Jofre, where we decided to stop for the night, with the hope that if we hit the little village in the morning, we could line up a boat to take a half-day tour later that same day. So we made dinner and enjoyed a nice sunset before seeking solace from the bugs and a nice breeze from our fan inside Goose.
Good morning. This is where we pulled off the road last night. The road's just kind of right up there. Not very far from it, but there's not a lot of traffic here. So today we'll just continue on heading towards Porto Jofre, see what it's like there, and that's where you basically get on a boat if you want to, and take a tour looking at jaguars and giant river otters and all the other wildlife. But not sure how much it will be, so we'll see once we get there if we feel like it's worth it or not, and probably spend one night there at least and see what we see. So, wasn't too bad last night. There's a lot of bugs, obviously, but humid, cooled off enough to at least sleep, so that's good. We even camped right next to these little trees that are like clementines or something. They're all pretty dried out, so you can't really eat them, but kind of neat that they're all just here.
In the morning, we were off to see about a 3-hour tour. Not really, it was probably more like a 4-hour tour. Now, about those horror stories we had heard. The mud, the super sketchy bridges, 122 bridges to be exact. But so far, we were all pleasantly surprised. We had hit no mud, and although the bridges certainly were sketchy, we were pretty used to the sight of a dilapidated half-there wooden bridge that makes you hold your breath as you cross it by now on the trip. So, thankful for now. We kept making our way to the remote little village of Porto Jofre.
We are in Porto Jofre, and there are a few places that we can camp that also offer tours. So we're going to check a few out. This is the first one called Jaguar Camp. And we're here. There are a lot of birds around, not a lot of people to see. So we're trying to find somebody to ask. First place down, there's literally no one to ask about how much it costs or anything, so we're gonna go check out the other few, and hopefully we get cell service, and then we have a WhatsApp number so we can send someone a message about this. But either way, we're gonna check all of them out to see price-wise and all that, what's best.
3 hours later.
We found a boat. It wasn't anything fancy, but it did have shade, and we had it all to ourselves. Our guide spoke no English and very little Spanish, but we got by and we were just happy to be on the water. I tried not to think about the fact that all that was between us and everything in the water that seemingly wanted to kill us was a thin piece of metal. The water was an ominous, murky brown that hid all the piranhas, snakes, and crocodiles that lay beneath. It was a bit unnerving, but luckily our surroundings quickly took my mind off of all of that. These are capybaras, a pretty common sight around here. They are the largest rodent in the world and can get up to 145 pounds, which is about the size of a St. Bernard. They have webbed toes and, fun fact, they eat their own poop. Cruising along like this, there was just so much to take in. A splash in the water. Was that a croc? Something moves in the tree above, maybe a bird, maybe a monkey. Is that an anaconda in the crevice there? Always scanning for movement, always listening, every sense heightened. We were always on the hunt for jaguars, which you would think would be hard to find just trolling along a river. Or at least I did. But it turns out the jaguars actually walk the river's edge on the hunt for caiman and capybara, two of their main food sources here, so it's pretty common to see them. Not long into our 3-hour tour, we came across these guys, giant river otters. They are the longest weasel on Earth and sometimes called a river wolf because they are exceptional hunters. They can get up to 6 feet long, and we found them crunching on an eel. As we floated a few feet from these guys, we started to notice the otters not eating seemed to be getting worried about something. You can hear them making a lot of noise. Well, they weren't worked up for nothing. We saw what they had been concerned about when suddenly a big caiman joined the party.
Oh, he's not screwing around. Straight at him. And the one's still eating.
I know the one's still eating.
Oh,
He's
my
like,
God. Secret way over here. And one of them must be going by his tail because
He's gonna get him in the tail. Yeah.
they're going to get closer and closer.
I could have sat and watched these guys all day. The otters are so clever going around and biting the croc's tail, seemingly not at all intimidated by the caiman. But it was time to move on and see what else there was to see out here. I hadn't seen any jaguars yet, but my day was already made as far as I was concerned. Our river tour was a success.
Funny, the more I see of what lives in this water, the less and less I want to ever touch it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Scary.
That alligator
what's the
coming out
scary
of
thing
nowhere.
eating? Oh, it's eating another scary thing.
Yeah, and then
Like-
the piranha on top of all of it.
Yeah. Just everything wants to kill you out here. It's pretty.
These storks are huge. They can get up to 5 feet tall and their wingspan can be over 9 feet wide. I now understand why storks are supposed to deliver babies. As the sun started sinking in the sky, everything took on a new hue. And just when I didn't think it could get any prettier, it did.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear us because it's windy, but we've been going for, what do you think?
Yeah, we're getting close to 4.
Yeah. And no jaguars, we saw a lot of other stuff, but man, I'm tired of looking for stuff.
Yeah, your eyeballs
It sounds
get
so
tired
silly
of
to
your
complain
brain.
about that, but it is exhausting, like constantly looking for stuff. And my butt hurts. Tired of sitting.
This doesn't look like a bad way to see the river. Slightly more luxurious than our boat. Just then, we got word that there was a jaguar sighting ahead of us, so we rushed over to hopefully get a glimpse for ourselves. We waited hopefully with everyone else, summoning all the energy from our tired eyes, hoping the big cat might show himself again.
We missed him.
What's that?
I think we missed him.
I think we did. I think this will go down as a near miss, I bet. But I hope he pops his head back out.
Well, it looked as though we were not destined to see a jaguar today, which, oddly, I was more than okay with. We had seen so much, and as I sat there staring at the river's edge with everyone else, it hit me that if you told me a few years ago I would be right here, I'm not sure I would have believed you. I was living in a real-life National Geographic picture. I was on a jungle river seeing crocs and giant river otters, looking for jaguars, and to top it off, the temp had just cooled off to a pleasant 80 degrees. There was an incredible sunset and some pretty great people surrounding me. Today just goes to show life may not go as you wish it would, but it's still pretty amazing. We made it back to Goose just as the sun was setting. We had spent about 6 hours in that little boat, and we were all exhausted. So we popped the top, made a quick dinner, and bid Shannon and other Tim good night. What an epic day. Thank you all for watching, and a special thanks to our patrons. We could not keep making these videos without you guys. Don't miss the next episode as we find out the truth behind all those horror stories we had heard about the Transpantaneira. Things get a little dirty. We take on all the crazy bridges in the mud and help a few stranded tourists along the way. It's a good one. Cheers everyone, and see you next time.